All right, so for this video, let's quickly go over the mold families. So the mold families, if you had our previous package, these were called grouped families, or grouped windows, I mean, and they were really to help save some time placing groups of a bunch of windows, but I found that it was confusing and it wasn't true to real life. So what we've done is we now call them mold windows and they function a little bit differently. The old windows were grouped, meaning they were meant to be, when you put them in the project, they they were separate windows separated by actual wall of the building, so maybe like a 6-inch wall between each window. And what how you would accomplish that now is to actually just place all those windows separately. It was causing problems with tagging and scheduling, and so now we've simplified it. If you want a group of windows that are actually not one window, but they're actually, like, say it's 5 windows in a row, if they're actually separated by wall and that's how you want it built on your project, you would just place 5 separate windows, and that'll just clean up all of the problems people were having with scheduling. A mold window, a true mold window, is really when you're buying one window unit from the manufacturer, but it has multiple windows in it, molded together with mullions. So we all of the mold windows are now more true to that real life scenario. So what happens is I've got a couple different flavors of this. There's just the single row of mold windows, so a 2x1, a 3x1, a 4x1, and a 5x1, and they're just kind of named by the amount of columns and then the amount of rows. So this has 2 columns and 1 row. So then we get into the next flavor, which is double rows. So 1 column, 2 rows, 2 rows, 2 columns, or 2 columns, 2 rows, 3 columns, 2 rows, so on and so forth. And I don't get any taller than 2 rows. The next flavor is where all of the windows are not separated. So this is still a 2 column, 2 row window, but it spans the top. All of the top windows are combined. So we have that again, 2x2 all the way to 5x2. So 1 single window above 5 separate windows. And then we've got an arched version of that same thing. And then there is the bottom span. And then in the 2x2, there is also a side span. That one's unique because I think this is more popular in Europe. I don't really see them, at least not in my area in the United States. So then you have all the bottom span. Beyond that, if you need a more complicated mold window, you would move into the curtain walls and make custom windows, and I will go over that in a different video. So that's the purpose of the mold windows. When you tag these, you're going to tag them. They tag as one unit, so it'd be one window. So if you're wanting to tag each one of these individuals, this isn't going to be the way you do it. You're going to want to make them 2 separate windows and place them separately. Okay, let's go into the parameters now. Like, what can we do with these, and what's good about these? I'm going to go to the elevation here, and let's just pick let's pick this 3x2 window with the top span. So it functions very similar to the standard windows. It has a lot of the same parameters. You can pick its level, its sill height. You can mess with all the different trim settings, interior and exterior, and then you can also still control all the different horizontal and vertical grids. You can override how many of those there are. If there's any action symbols going on, you can change the swing angle, all of that good stuff. So if you watched the previous video about all the parameters for a standard window, a lot of those still apply here. Same with the materials, and then same with these dimensions, right? The main difference is just controlling all of these different windows. Let's go to this one where it's not a top span. So how these read is, just pretend you're looking at an Excel spreadsheet is the best way to do it. The columns are A, B, C, and it's row 1, 2. So if you want to change the window here, this would be window A1, this is B1, and this is C1, and this would be A2, B2, C2. So that becomes important. So if I click on this window and I hit the type parameters, I'm going to create a brand new window, or you can duplicate this one, create a brand new window. And in here are your type parameters. So let's start changing the windows around. So see how there's A1 right here? So everything that's going to control the graphics in A1 is right here. So if we don't want colonial grills, maybe we want prairie grills in A1, I'm going to change that and hit apply, and you'll see that A1 goes to prairie grills. You see that? Or if I just don't want to show any of the grills on the top windows, I can turn the show grills option off on windows A1, B1, and C1, and then click apply, and you'll see those disappear. All right, now let's, in addition to, so it says window type here. So you can not only do you change the type of window, but also the grills at the same time. So I chose to change it from a fixed window with colonial grills to a fixed window with prairie grills. But we could do, on this first window, maybe we want it to be an awning. So I'm just going to scroll up where it says panel, awning, and I'm going to keep it prairie grills and click OK. And you'll see it'll switch that out for an awning. So you can start to make different window assemblies if you'd like. So let's turn off all of the mullions. And underneath the awning window, so that's A1, this would be B, or this would be A2. So let's go to A2 right here. And let's pick a different, let's do a casement window that's also prairie grills. But because we shut the grills off, it won't actually matter. You're not going to see any grills. So you could pick any casement window you want, honestly, but we'll keep it consistent with the one above. And now when I click on that, it'll switch it out. So if you wanted a mold window assembly with different window types in each panel location, you can do that. Let's click on that again and look at some of the other ones. So this whole graphics section is more about controlling each panel, what's in the panel. And then below are your overall dimensions. You can change your overall width and your height. And then you've got this option for the width. If you would like each column to be the same width, you can just check that box. If you would like to change the width of the different columns, you could do that too. So if we do 2.5 feet here and we do 4 feet here, it'll automatically calculate the last column based on the overall width that you chose. And then the last column and also the last row, or the top row, will be automatically calculated based on what you input for the other rows or widths of the columns. So now if we click apply, we'll get two side windows that are a little less wide than the center. And then same with row heights. If you would like the rows to be equal, you can click this button and it will not pay attention to the values you put below it. So now I'll hit apply and it's just going to automatically center this middle mullion. Okay, so I'm going to unclick that because I liked it the way it was before. Now, different mold windows do different things. Different companies build mold assemblies differently. Sometimes the window frames themselves, they make special window frames that connect to each other. So the window frame would connect directly to this window frame. By default, the mold windows have mullions between the windows. So like on the outside edges, the windows attach directly to the house framing. And then the shared borders between the windows have a mullion for support, and the window frames attach to the mullions, and then the mullions attach to the house framing. So if that's the case, then the way it's constructed by default is correct. But if you just want the window frames to connect directly to the surrounding window frames, you can remove the mullions. So if you click that box that says remove mullions and click apply, you'll see that these mullions all disappear and the frames just connect directly to each other. So that just kind of depends how detailed you want to get, but you can remove the mullions. Let's put the mullions back, and then just know that you can change the width of the mullions. Right now we're showing 1.5 inch mullions. So let me hit apply. But if you want those to be something else, like you could make them 3 inches, you could make them twice as wide, and apply. And they'll just get wider. And it's the same with the depth. I think by default, the depth of the mullion is the same as the window frame depth. Sometimes the mullions are deeper than the window frames. I don't think I've ever seen a case where they're less deep than the window frames, but just know that the mullion depth can be controlled separately from the window frame depth. Okay, and then after the mullion settings, you get back into the same settings that we've gone over in the other windows: the rail, the frame, the casing, the grills, the glazing, and then the opening clearances. All right, so that's how you use the mold windows. If you already have mastered the regular windows, the mold windows are not much different, except for the key thing is just knowing the grid system here: A, B, C, 1 and 2 for the rows. If you kind of know, sorry, I should mention that's if you're looking at it from the exterior side. If you're looking at it from the interior side, it's going to be the exact opposite of what I just said. So make sure you're looking at it from the exterior side if you're looking at it like it's an Excel spreadsheet. All right, keep watching these videos for more help on how to use our families.